Each of the legacy inductees has their own unique place in Tennessee's rich broadcast history. And now we give you a look back at 7 legendary broadcasters who individually carved out their own place in Tennessee radio and who collectively made Tennessee's greatest broadcast generations. We proudly salute the following members and their families for allowing us the privilege and honor of sharing their stories and a small part of what makes each of them a true Tennessee legacy.
Business is the equivalent of a grand slam homer in baseball. And by that standard, Willie Nelson is the Mickey Mantle of country music. His new album called...
The Judd Collins legacy started at WSM in 1940. Radio host? Check. Grand Ole Opry announcer? Check. WSM radio newsman? Check. Then after a decade at Nashville's most popular radio station, Judd Collins made the move to television, signing on WSM-TV in 1950. And that move made Judd Collins Mr. Television. As Nashville's first news anchor, Judd Collins had no rules, no consultants, no teleprompter, and no videotape. But from his years in radio, he did have a lot of gut instincts, and he instinctively did it right. Those radio skills, being able to ad-lib, really paid off as Nashville got its first breaking news report in 1960 during a riot at the Tennessee State Prison. Those reports set a precedent for local TV stations to do breaking news. And his work in Nashville got the attention of NBC. He turned down a job offer with the NBC Nightly News in New York after his wife, Mattie Lou, said she did not want to raise her children there. Judd always said a successful broadcaster never speaks to the masses. You simply have a one-on-one conversation. And he had those one-on-ones with some very historical figures, like Eleanor Roosevelt, Robert Kennedy, and Hank Williams. And he did it well for a long time, serving as the principal anchor for all WSM-TV newscast for over 20 years. People in Nashville never forgot what Judd gave up to stay here, and they never forgot his character, his courage, and his integrity. Judd Collins died in 2008 at the age of 89, and his legacy lives on today here in Nashville. The career of T.Tommy was full of firsts. An outstanding athlete and musician at an early age, T.Tommy was just 18 when he was hired for his first radio job. Then it was on to Jackson, Memphis, and New Orleans. T.Tommy was on the way up as both a DJ and a professional musician. A devastating car crash in 1953 cost him his left leg and nearly ended his life. His days as a professional drummer were over, but Tommy took that adversity and made it an advantage. And his resolve to make his mark in the world of entertainment only became stronger. He was the first to play Johnny Cash on the radio, and the first outside of Memphis to play Elvis Presley. T.Tommy was a radio station owner, plus the host of Music City USA, his own syndicated radio show heard on over 100 stations, Grand Ole Opry announcer, and a tireless promoter.
Will you and Don Gibson gather all around here? Don, if you will, get over on this here side, and Jordanaires, if y'all will, come on out on this side, and let's all get together and sing this pretty thing that you boys helped Don record for the Victor people. It's called I Can't Stop Loving You, fellas.
But for T.Tommy, life was more than that. Much more. In 1976, he ran for Congress with Johnny Cash as his campaign manager. He lost that race to a future vice president, but won a state Senate seat 2 years later. His contributions to radio and to his adopted home state of Tennessee will never be forgotten. Jack Stapp's legendary and lengthy career goes back decades. In 1939, Jack was appointed program director at WSM in Nashville. Yep, the year was 1939, and Franklin D. Roosevelt was president. The president known for his radio fireside chats. And those chats were carried on WSM under Jack Stapp's leadership. Through the years, Jack was also known to have a great eye for talent, signing stars like Eddie Arnold, Jim Reeves, Patsy Cline, not to mention Hank Williams, and this was all before the end of World War II. During the years after the war, Jack was also manager of the Grand Ole Opry, a founder of Tree Publishing Company, and a founding member of the Country Music Association. More major stars followed, more success stories, and even more reasons why Jack Stapp is now being inducted into the Tennessee Radio Hall of Fame. Bob Bell may have spent 25 years in television, but radio was always in his blood. For over 50 years, Bob served on Nashville radio and TV, as well as a play-by-play announcer for the University of Tennessee football.
With receivers on each side, Robinson wants to throw. He's looking. He's going to air it out.
And he's wide open.
He's got it. Touchdown.
Tim McGee.
Bob was a multifaceted broadcaster. On radio, he could and did do both sports and talk, as well as being a DJ in his younger years. He took those same skills to television, providing Middle Tennessee with news, weather, and sports. Co-workers and competitors alike all commended Bob Bell for his extreme sense of fairness and for being the ultimate gentleman. And generations of Tennesseans also considered him to be the ultimate broadcaster. His accomplishments and his contributions to the media are still being recognized today. Jim Dick was known as a radio man from the old school, but he took the radio business to a whole new level. In 1953, he took his $3,000 in savings to start a 1,000-watt AM station.
I wanted us to get call letters that would be quickly identifiable.
WIVK. And that turned out to be the flagship station of Dick Broadcasting. And what a flagship. In the decades that followed, Jim Dick raised that AM station into a ratings powerhouse. Dick turned the AM into an FM, and what an FM. With only one exception, WIVK has won every Arbitron ratings book in Knoxville for an amazing 44 years. In the process, Jim built a 15-station chain throughout Tennessee, Alabama, and North Carolina. But Jim Dick knew the most important element of broadcasting was the people. And first and foremost, Jim Dick was a family man and a people person. In fact, when Jim sold Dick Broadcasting, he set aside $6 million and gave it away to his employees. That same sense of generosity and community spirit has benefited all of East Tennessee and the entire radio industry. It is with great volunteer pride the Tennessee Radio Hall of Fame welcomes Mr. Jim Dick. Our next inductee is a Nashville native, yet his voice and his music took him all over the world.
I want to dig a little deeper in the storehouse of his love. Well, I want to dig.
Hugh Baby Jarrett grew up in a musical family, and as a teenager, he was doing sock hops. His love for music and his talent only got better with age. In the early 1950s, he became a member of the Jordanaires and sang on more than 50 Elvis Presley records. He also performed on million-selling songs by Ricky Nelson, Frillin Husky, and Marty Robbins. And with that distinctive bass voice, Hugh Baby was a natural for nights at WLAC. He also enjoyed success as an actor and voiceover artist. Eventually, Hugh Jarrett moved to Atlanta, but his presence will always be felt in his native Nashville. Hugh Baby was inducted into the Gospel Music Hall of Fame and the Georgia Music Hall of Fame. And now he is one of us. Snooky Lanson was born in Memphis and grew up in a large, extended Italian family. His talent was discovered when a bootlegger would pay him to sing in a Memphis speakeasy at the age of 6 years old for $100 a night. Snooky was always a great athlete and a great entertainer. In 1950, Snooky and the kids were on vacation in Florida. He gets a phone call at the hotel, and NBC wants to hire him for Your Hit Parade. Well, Snooky said he just couldn't leave. After all, they were on vacation, and he wasn't sure his wife would want to move to New York City. Looks like NBC was serious, because in that same phone call, they offered Snooky $1,500 a week. Well, that didn't take long. The Lansons were on the road to the Big Apple, and that was a big step in Snooky's career, because he was taking the place of a young Frank Sinatra.
Mr. Sandman, bring me a dream. Make her complexion like peaches and cream. Give her two lips like roses and...
Snooky stayed with Your Hit Parade for the next 7 years. Eventually, the family moved back to Nashville, and he remained an entertainment presence on both radio and television until his death.